everyone out there in the virtual world, and welcome back to episode 2 of Food is a Love Language, Cooking with Steph. Come on in.
I've always thought of food as a love language. It's a way of caring for ourselves and others. Through food, we can share our traditions with each other and pamper our loved ones with dietary needs, with recipes that aren't just delicious, but nourish the soul. It's a way of coming together. And when we infuse our food with love and caring, it makes the world a better place.
Cooking with Steph.
Okie dokie, we are back in the kitchen and we are going to be making today, drum roll please, gluten-free, dairy-free macaroni and cheese. I know, say what? Like seriously, but I'm telling you, gluten-free, dairy-free macaroni and cheese. Now, you might think I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but the truth is I have served this recipe at many a gathering, and we are going to be able to start gathering now that things are becoming a little safer with our vaccinated loved ones. And I have not told people that this recipe was gluten-free and dairy-free, and guess what? They did not know. Your friends will freak out. This is good for people that are vegan, that are lactose intolerant, that are gluten intolerant. Everybody can have it, and it's comfort food. I remember the first time I had mac and cheese. I was 5 years old. I was swimming at my next door neighbor's house, and his mom, we got out of the pool, soaking wet, dried off with a towel, and she made Kraft mac and cheese shapes, not the elbows. Really, really love the shapes. There's something about the texture. And let's be real, if you put a whole bowl of it in front of me right now, or really box for that matter, I'd eat the whole thing. Now this recipe is great because no dairy, no gluten, and so many people can have it, and it's kid friendly, and kids love it. You'll see later. So come with me. So here we go. First things first, we want to fill a pot of water halfway full, and we're gonna take a little bit of kosher salt. Just maybe put a little bit in the palm of your hand. It measures out to be about a teaspoon. And we're just gonna sprinkle it in our water, and this will make your pasta not stick together. I highly recommend it, whether it's gluten-free pasta or whatever kind of pasta, stick some salt in your water. So, next we're going to start our cheesy, delicious sauce. Now you're going to need a pot about this big. So, the first thing we're going to do is make a roux. Now, what is a roux, you might ask? A roux is the creamy base of a sauce, and this being gluten-free and dairy-free, we're just gonna do it a little bit differently. So we're going to start off with a ½ cup of canola oil and heat it up. We're going to pour this in here, and we're gonna turn our burner on and let that get hot for a second. So while the oil is heating up, we are going to measure out 1/4 cup of Bob's Red Mill gluten-free flour. And it's a 1-to-1 ratio. The thing that I love about this flour, it's also great for baked goods. You don't have to remeasure anything, and there really is no difference of taste between your regular and your gluten-free. So, before you add it, you just wanna make sure that your stove is at medium heat, and we're going to add a 1/4 cup and stir it in. Now you wanna make sure that it all dissolves and it's super, super, super smooth. Now we're going to add between 2½ to 3 cups of almond milk. And don't worry, if you have friends that are allergic to nuts, use soy milk instead. You want to make sure that you get your canola oil and flour, that mixture all incorporated with the almond milk. And we're just going to keep stirring here until it thickens slightly. So let's have a dance party. I needed to take a little breather for a second. You really just want to keep on stirring and keep that arm moving. And you're going to just wait for it to thicken ever so slightly. It's good for your arm, especially if you just got your vaccine. They say to keep your arm on moving. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, this is when we turn our stove temperature down to low because the consistency of our roux is just perfect and we don't want it to get any thicker, any faster. Every stove is different, so I can't give you an exact time that it will take for it to get to this consistency. However, you want to make sure that it's around here. It's super creamy, but it's still a little liquidy, so it's not too thick. So make sure, turn that stove down to low. Now we start the process of making this creamy roux start to taste like cheese. So first things first, we add 2.5 tablespoons of kosher salt. Put that in there. Yeah. Next, we add 3 tablespoons of garlic powder. Stir it on in there. 3 tablespoons of onion powder. Okay, 1.5 tablespoons of basil. And this is ground basil, not basil leaves, that you can find at your spice rack in any grocery store. Now we add between 1/4 to 1/3 cup of nutritional yeast. Now, nutritional yeast is amazing. This is the first ingredient that really starts to make it taste like cheese. It has a little nuttiness to it, and it's just delicious. Get it on in there, and then stir it on up. So now that that's all incorporated, it's time for a little taste test. Take our spoon. It's coming along well. So it's going to taste a little salty. Don't fret, I promise. But you taste the garlic powder and the onion powder and the basil, and it's really coming together like a buttery sauce, even though there's no dairy in there. Okie dokie, now that our water is at a rolling boil, it's time to add our pasta. Now this is my favorite gluten-free pasta, Bio Natura or Bio Natore. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, but it's awesome. It's made from rice and lentils, and it really gives you the feel of actual pasta. Some gluten-free pastas can be a little grainy or a little gummy, not this guy. So we're going to open this box up and pour it in our water. There we go. And I'm gonna add another 1/2 box in there. More macaroni. And we're gonna stir that on up a little bit so your pasta doesn't stick together. Okie dokie. So we're gonna let our pasta cook for about 9 to 10 minutes, no longer. We don't want it to get mushy. And while that is cooking, we are going to add our our Daiya shredded cheese. So we're going to use about 3/4 of a bag of the cheddar shreds and about 1/4 to 1/2 of the bag of the mozzarella shreds. So let's get it in there. You can really use whatever cheese substitute you want, but Daiya I really like because it melts and it really makes this sauce extra yummy. Get it in there. Hold a little bit back, and then we're going to add our mozzarella shreds. Whoop. Gotta get her open. Ooh, a little too much, but we'll make it work. So sometimes what happens is your roux can get a little thick, and if that ever happens, just take a little bit of canola oil, and you're gonna add a dash, just like a hair, like not too much, and a little bit of almond milk, just a splash, not too much, and stir it in there to smooth it out. Double stirring. Give your pasta a little stir every once in a while to make sure it doesn't stick together. So you're going to keep wanting to stir this continuously while everything melts and gets incorporated together and it becomes this ooey gooey awesome sauce. Oh, yeah. I initially started making this recipe in 2013 for one of my best friends who had to cut gluten and dairy out of her diet. I checked out the Vegan Zombie. Check him out on Instagram and check out his cookbooks. He's absolutely fantastic. I have to give credit where credit is due because that's where I got the base of this recipe. Now, over the years, I've changed the ratios of almond milk, canola oil. I don't use mustard in mine and I add a nutritional yeast. But he's really awesome and I have to give him props because if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be doing this. Ding, 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 ding. Our pasta is done. We're going to let this all come together while we strain our pasta. So we get our strainer and we put it in the bottom of our clean sink. We get our oven mitts on. Jazz hands. And then we take our pasta, we bring it over to the sink, and we're gonna strain it. Woohoo! Getting a facial over here. Let's go check on that sauce. Ooh, it's looking awesome. Look at this cheesy, gooey, luscious, creamy sauce. I think it's time to take a little taste of this. New spoon, no double dipping. This tastes like sharp, nutty, creamy cheese. I don't know what to tell you. It tastes like real cheese. Now it's time to add our pasta. So we take our pasta and we put it in with the sauce. Let's go. All right, get it in there. Whoop! There we go. And now it's time to mix it all up. We are going to turn our burner off. We're going to take this, now that it's all mixed up and incorporated, we're going to put it in our baking dish and then pop it in the oven. Here we go. Look at this. We are in the home stretch and we're gonna smooth this out so that it cooks nice and evenly. We have some fun options now. So if you wanna have a contrast of texture, you can add gluten-free breadcrumbs. You could buy them at the store, or if you go back to episode 1 and look at how you make homemade breadcrumbs, all you have to do is use gluten-free bread, and instead of using Romano cheese, substitute the same amount of nutritional yeast with a little bit of salt and voila, you have gluten-free breadcrumbs. But today I think I just want it plain. Okie dokie, it is time to get our mac and cheese in the oven at 375 for about 30 minutes. Let's go. Guess what time it is? Our mac and cheese is done. Time to get it out of the oven. I can hear the sizzle. It smells so good. It smells garlicky and buttery and, dare I say, cheesy, even though there's no cheese in it. And I'm really excited to give it a taste. I'm gonna put my glove back on here to make sure I don't burn myself. Whoa, Look at this. I can't wait to have a bite. Here we go. Woo! This is so delicious. And I would never know there is no gluten or dairy in this mac and cheese because I'm still getting that nostalgic, carby, cheesy, creamy, delicious sensation that I'm eating macaroni and cheese. The other reason that I'm completely obsessed with this recipe and have been for so long is that with your cooking time, it's really only just about an hour. It takes about a half hour to prep and a half hour in the oven. So it's easy peasy lemon squeezy, and I'm telling you, if you bring this to a gathering, you will be the life of the party. Thank you again for joining me for episode 2 of Food is a Love Language, Cooking with Steph. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy and starting to enjoy that warmer weather out there. Please join us next time for episode 3, where we will be making bite-sized foods that you can slip under a mask for a COVID-safe picnic. See you later.
Cooking with Steph.